Teammate Rudy Gobert testing positive for coronavirus. On Monday during media availability, before he knew he was infected, Gobert touched every microphone on the stage to jokingly show everyone he wasn't afraid of the virus. Well, yesterday, Gobert issued this apology by way of Instagram, which read in part, "I want to thank everybody for the outpouring of concern and support over the last 24 hours. The first and most important thing is I would like to publicly apologize to the people that I may have endangered. At this time, I had no idea I was even infected. I was careless and make no excuse. I hope my story serves as a warning and causes everyone to take this seriously. I encourage everyone to take all of the steps to stay safe and healthy." Now, also last night, Charles Barkley announced in a phone interview on TNT's Inside the NBA that he is under self-quarantine and awaiting the results of those tests of the coronavirus after recently not feeling well. So, Stephen A. Smith, I want to circle back to Gobert. What's your thoughts on his apology?
Well, first of all, we're a forgiven nation, and the reality of the situation is that he showed the appropriate level of contrition. I certainly don't believe that he intended any harm to anybody. He was playing around, being affable and what have you. He didn't have any malice intent.
Of course.
So let's get that out the way. But there's no escaping his immaturity, the insensitivity that he displayed, and it was inexcusable. And the reason why it's inexcusable when you're playing around and you're not doing harm to anybody else, okay, that's fine. But there were people, even though he didn't take it seriously, there were people inside that locker room who were taking it seriously. So we see cameras showing him touch people's microphones, tape recorders, stuff like that. What we don't see is what Woj reported yesterday, Max, that he then went into his own locker room and started touching other people's stuff and playing around with them because his belief was it's nothing serious. And the belief was that other people on the Utah Jazz were overreacting. So Donovan Mitchell ends up contracting it. And if you read his statement, he was talking about elevating our level of awareness and responsibility. And even though he didn't call out his teammate, you could tell that he was alluding to his teammate. There are other members of the Utah Jazz that obviously have gotten tested and what have you. And we don't know the results of that yet. So his insensitivity and his immaturity may have really caused harm to others, and that's the unfortunate part of all of this.
There's 2 points I'd like to make about this. The first is I'm glad he posted what he posted.
So am I.
It's not enough, and I don't think it's from he's not being malicious, as you say, but he's not being careful enough in his thinking here. He said he's sorry about his carelessness. That was not carelessness. Carelessness would be if he sneezed into the air and he didn't cover up, something like that. He didn't wash his hands before he took. What he did was intentionally done. Not that he's looking to spread disease, we understand that, but it indicated that he didn't take it seriously, okay? So I would like to see Gobert post another message saying, hey, everybody, the mistake I made was that I didn't take this seriously. This is very serious, is what we should do. Now, the question is, why didn't he? And why didn't enough people? Because people got reports that they heard it was a hoax, so they were shaking hands intentionally to show it was just a political hoax, right? Is it a state of emergency or is it a hoax? You can't have both, right? The reason for that is, for a lot of people, is it's easier to not take it seriously because the cost to the individual is high. The benefit is low. The benefit is not about not contracting the disease. It's about not spreading it to others because we want to slow the rate of the spread. Millions and millions of people are likely to get it. You don't want them to get it all at the same time. That's when you get bad outcomes. You want to slow the rate of the spread. So it's a societal benefit. When you're asked to take precautions and go out of your way at personal cost for societal benefit, there's not a powerful incentive. No. So we need role models like Gobert now to come out and say, hey, I didn't take this seriously, and that was the problem.
I can appreciate your point of view. I will tell you that I got that from what he was saying, but I can understand how you want him to illuminate that a bit more. I get where you're coming from with that. I got his contrition.
I just didn't like the use of the word careless. Mm-hmm. Right. Careless suggests I didn't take precautions. No, you intentionally made light of it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Well, we do have a little bit more breaking news coming down the pipeline. A statement from NASCAR. All races and events this weekend at Atlanta and next weekend at Homestead, Florida have been postponed.
Well, I will tell you this. that's a sport that doesn't necessarily need the crowd at all. I mean, you can sit up there and you can be on a racetrack inside a car, Max, and going around the track.
But you know what
I
we're
mean,
finding?
you ain't hearing the crowd. I wouldn't say that.
What we're finding, even without
Discuss the sports world's reaction to the coronavirus and its possible spread. We're joined now by Dr. Jennifer Ashton, who serves as the chief medical correspondent for ABC News. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, thanks for having me.
All right.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. Well, we all know that most of the sporting events have been either postponed or canceled at this point. So how important was it for the various leagues to make these decisions?
Well, listen, I mean, being in the ABC family here at ABC News, we're getting literally almost minute to minute, hour to hour updates from the CDC, the World Health Organization, top infectious disease and public health specialists, not just here in this country, but around the world. And I bet, the NBA and all of the professional leagues are getting the same information, just a little bit behind us. And I think that they took the appropriate and responsible public health steps, and really are leading by example. If you think of what we all can do personally as individuals to help slow the spread of this virus and this outbreak, and contain it, and as you're hearing this term, flatten the curve, which means really protect our health system, and reduce the number of people who get it and spread it out over a bigger period of time instead of having places be inundated. They're taking those steps not just on behalf of an individual, but on behalf of an organization, a league that literally has the potential to affect hundreds of thousands of people. So it was aggressive, and in my medical opinion and following what the World Health Organization is recommending, medically appropriate.
Dr. Ashton, obviously appreciate the great work that you've been doing. Thank you so much.
Thank
you. There was clearly I don't want to say dismissiveness, but even though we saw this being reported and we saw the alerts that you and others in the medical profession was doing, just to alert us to how serious this was, there was a lackadaisical approach on a lot of folks' parts, to be kind, to say the least. In light of the decisions that have been made, clearly that nonchalant attitude per se has evaporated, and it has received the level of attention that it so richly deserves. How helpful do you believe that will be for us as a society moving forward in the immediate future?
Well, gosh, I mean, I hope and think it will be very helpful, but let's drill down on that for a second, because you brought up some really important points. First of all, in medicine and science, we like data, we like information, we like past history on things. This is a new viral pathogen that we have no history and almost no data on. It's less than 3 months old. So I think that the points you raised, which are absolutely true, not only came on the part of some public health officials, even, by the way, some doctors, said, no, this is nothing, let's wait and see. In medicine, we have to go right down the middle, and we have to act on what is the worst case scenario and protect people's lives and health based on if that were to happen. And then we have to go on data, if we know that, what's likely, and we have to try to strike a balance. So you guys may have heard me say in the last week, there's a saying that I love to use in medicine. When you hear hooves outside the door, think horses and not zebras. So for all the people who say, and they're not wrong, well, what about the flu? What about seasonal influenza? Yeah. The flu, which I talk about every year, both in my practice and on national television, has a PR problem because we report numbers that are jaw-dropping. Right now, we're waiting today. The CDC will release its seasonal flu estimates. Last week, they estimated 20,000 U.S. flu-associated deaths. But people don't listen to that. And now that there's a new kid on the block and people are saying, we don't know about this, we have to take it seriously, look at what's happening in other parts of the world, we want to protect Americans and make sure that doesn't happen here. Now people are interested in the flu, and I'm glad about that, but understand, and this is really the important part, this is not a competition. The flu can be mild, the flu can be deadly. Coronavirus can be mild and the coronavirus can be deadly. And the difference between the two is there's treatments and a vaccine that can help us with the flu, even though they're far from ideal. We don't have either of those things with this novel coronavirus, nor do we even know how it will behave. So that's why there is so much uncertainty. And you guys have heard me say it, in medicine and in science, it is so important to say, I don't know. What we know, what we don't know, and a lot of